Hello. I expect you have more questions. Yeah, a little bit. Came here in search of something that might further my research. I did not anticipate a fully functioning void gate. Can such a tiny portal truly be so dangerous? Even in the learned halls of Charlian, 'tis forbidden to throw wide the gates to the abyss. The peril is far too great. Void gates and fissures are much the same thing in practice, in the sense that they both allow passage between the source and the 13th. The difference in terminology refers to the circumstances of creation. A fissure is an incidental tear in the fabric between worlds, where a void gate is the product of deliberate action. I suspect this is the latter, judging by the elaborate mechanism put in place to control it. To think our search for material riches would lead to this priceless discovery. A thrilling emptiness, it puts me in the mind of old friends, not to mention old foes.
I must admit, I am deathly curious to know how a void gate came to be hidden in the depths of these ruins.
To tell that tale, we must first peer far to the south, and even further into memory. An age 5 millennia passed when the Algan Empire sent an invading force to the shores of Mericidia. The southern people rallied around the commanding figures of Bahamut and Tiamat and fought fiercely to repel the would-be conquerors. With Bahamut's defeat, however, the tide turned against them. Desperate to seize any advantage, the Mercidians resorted to summoning primal entities. In response, Emperor Zande forged a covenant with the Cloud of Darkness, sovereign among the all-devouring denizens of the Void. Thus bolstered by icons on one side and Void Scent on the other, the two armies clashed in a battle of unspeakable carnage. So much death. So much loss.
I consider myself well versed in that period of history, yet you speak as one who witnessed it happen.
He's a dragon, Graha. He was there.
Indeed, I did.
It was his brother and sister who were fighting.
I heard Tiamat's roar of defiance and sped toward that war-torn land. Along with my sibling, Ashdaya. We dragons are not male or female as men are wont to classify, but elder sister is the closest a mortal tongue can come to describing what she meant to me. I was the last of our brood to hatch, and Ashdaya cared for me where my sire could not. Thus, I was with her when Tiamat roared. I was with her when she journeyed south, and I was with her when she fought against the Void-sent hordes. Yet no matter how many of their vile fiends we cast down, more rose from the abyss to take their place. Faced with an unwinnable war of attrition, Ashdaya risked her all on a final gamble. She plunged through the Void Gate itself to strike at the root of their strength. I tried to follow in her wake, determined to lend what aid I could. But even as I came upon Alag's glittering tower, I saw the rift close behind her. And Ashdaya has been lost to us ever since.
I find I must retract my earlier claim of historical knowledge. Nowhere in the Crystal Tower's archives did I see mention of such noble sacrifice.
That does not surprise me. To Alagan eyes, it must have seemed as if a lone dragon, driven to madness, simply dove through the gate and did not return. For my part, I spent long years searching for the means to reunite with Ashdaya. Until I could search no more. Until Alag was dust, and the arts to open a void gate large enough to accommodate a dragon forever lost.
Yet you have the beginnings of a gate right here, under the control of a harnessed device.
My discovery came before Radzat was founded. Though I scoured the lands for a method to cross the rift, it was beneath the sea that I chanced to find a natural planar fissure. It was, however, far too narrow to admit a worm's bulk. Only after our city rose upon the rock, and I could enlist the aid of our talented alchemists, did matters take a favorable turn. Their dedication was beyond reproach. Tirelessly they worked to expand the fissure, and after decades of toil, it finally grew to a size that a child might pass through.
Not long ago, you told us that you called out to your kin, that Ashdaya's answer was silence. I suspect the conclusion to your tale is not a joyful one.
With hope in my heart, I used the simulacrum to cross the threshold. But no, I did not find her. What I found was a host of void scent, clamoring around the opening they had sensed. 'Twas but a moment, but enough. I had no choice but to retreat and allow the portal to contract once more.
The gate was a threat to your people. You had to decide between endangering Razathan and abandoning your sister. And you chose the latter.
'Twas not that thy sibling scorned thy call. 'Twas that she was trapped beyond a barrier through which neither roar nor dragon may pass. Even now, in the desolate world of the 13th.
I can scarce imagine your pain, yet it was wise not to linger in that place. Too long a sojourn, and even a being of your power risks being warped into a creature of the void. You've seen this phenomenon before, when we stepped into the darkness.
I remember when Nero turned purple.
Turned purple? Well, yes. His wounds had allowed the void's corruption to enter his body and twist his ether. Had it been allowed to progress much longer, I presume he would have been fully transformed.
Then there is little hope for Ashdaya.
Ah, no. I hadn't meant to. I speak only of possibilities.
She's been in
The
there for
scales
thousands
of
of
the first
years.
brood are extraordinarily resistant to ethereal fluctuations. They are the protective talisman's core components after all, and even the corruption I described would struggle to overcome. Of course. With the warding scale in one's possession, one could conceivably survive a stay in the 13th without being warped by its energies.
Be that as it may, it is too late to rescue my sister. 5,000 years too late. And now countless others look to me for guidance and protection.
Yeah, we'll go. We'll go save her.
So when I sensed intruders in the ruins, I came only to ensure that the gate remained closed. That, and to secure the treasure, of course. I wish only to forget the rest.
I wonder how one of the first brutes simply vanished and leave no trace of her passage. Now I have my answer. Vrtra's grief at a lost sibling may be no mystery to Estinian. His has been a life entwined with sorrow, even before he became host to Nidhogg's essence. 13th, what chaos must consume the world. Millennia have passed since I last saw her, but Ajdaya in memory still. I see Ajdaya in memory still, clear and vivid. So they managed not only to expand the fissure, but also manipulate it as one might a gate. Astonishing. Is there a chance I could learn more of how this feat was accomplished? I will tell you what I can. First, however, I must return to the High Crucible and arrange to replace the guardians you so handily destroyed. It'll not do to leave the gate undefended. My apologies. We were perhaps a touch zealous in our rush to uncover the vault's secrets. If the constructs can be replaced, we would be happy to offer our assistance. That will not be necessary. Much as I retain spare vessels for myself, we keep duplicate guardians on hand for such eventualities. In any case, we should return to Radzit Han. What am I doing? Oh, I can just... okay. It's quite the gathering, to which we owe the pleasure. There's much about the Void Gate I cannot even begin to explain. I must convince Vritra to share everything he knows. Vritra speaks as if Ajdaya is a lost cause, but I wager he feels differently in his heart of hearts. It's the most enjoyable expedition, for which I am grateful. As for my evaluation, I shall impress upon the Loporrits that treasure vault is incomplete without daunting sentinels to test the mettle of any would-be intruders. While I'm loath to keep Crow waiting much longer, I cannot bring myself to leave before hearing more of Vrtra's tale. I promise we will discuss the Void Gate further, but I must attend to the matter of the Vault Sentinels. Your instruments has no doubt informed you the Kapikulu has been reduced to much scrap. Please bring a new one out of storage. It is conveyed to its post along with some few lesser constructs. Was it tomb robbers? Fiends born of the Tower of Zot? By the sisters, do not tell me a blasphemy, yet roams free. It might have been us. Why such guilty faces? Surely it isn't you who are responsible for the... Oh. Well, the details aren't important. I shall see it done immediately. And with that, the vault will soon be secured once more. Now, I believe you had questions? Quite a few, in fact. I'd like to begin with the gate itself. It is still functional, yes? Indeed, which is why I saw it sealed with an alchemically forged lock and warded with my magics. Such power must not fall into the wrong hands. In truth, the primary reason for the vault's construction was to keep the gate hidden from the outside world. So much effort for such a little door. That little door you speak of leads to an abyss teeming with unspeakable horrors. That said, in its current state, it would admit only the lowliest of voids sent, and from this side, no man would be able to pass through. No man. I should think Alphino would fit. Give him a firm enough push. Got him. Statistical size is only one consideration. The true restriction hinges upon the etheric density of the soul in transit. And yet you succeeded in expanding this diminutive portal to, and sending your simulacrum to the 13th. Thanks to my brilliant alchemists, I should have destroyed the anomaly when I found it, but instead I bade them devise a means to control it. After much experimentation, they accomplished the impossible. A method was conceived by which my magics could manipulate the fissure and transform it into a serviceable gate. But the process has long since been forgotten. Once I had given up searching for Azhdaya, there was no need to preserve such esoteric and dangerous knowledge. Thus has the gate lain dormant for years uncounted. Our own passage to the 13th was made relatively simple thanks to the Crystal Tower. An ancient mechanism channeled the tower's vast stores of energy to open a void gate, one bound to a covenant made with the Cloud of Darkness. Once the sovereign entity was beaten back, however, the covenant was broken and the doorway severed from its connection to the void. Theoretically, it should be possible to reconnect the gate by forging a new pact with another void sent, but such deals usually end in betrayal and death. In any case, we should attempt to gain an understanding of the Bounty Gate. Mayhap you can resume the search for your sister. As I've already explained, I put those futile hopes to rest centuries ago. My place and my duty is here and now. I meant to ask, what prompted you to search for the vault in the first place? It was all Estinian's idea. To recall, it was you who was chasing tales of undersea ruins. As you've seen, the fabulous wealth from the stories is quite real, if not its rumored origin, but I'm afraid I must attest a prior claim. I've been adding to the trove for years, little by little, but the time has come to spend it, that I might alleviate my people's suffering. And we are of one mind. We had no intention of taking it for ourselves. Isn't that right, my friend? Your Excellency, would you object if I were to conduct a closer examination of the gate? I'll make no attempt to open it, of course. I owe you and yours a debt that can never be repaid. Whatever boon you ask of me, you shall have it. Again, we could have just come to him from like, the start. You're most gracious. I shall take full advantage of your permission. Would that I could join thee in thy study, but the Loporits will be anxious to receive my report. I beg my leave of you. And I must be off to Charlian as well. Mr. Kryle was eager to speak with you about that request, so please come back to the annex as soon as you're able. Farewell for now. And son, thank you much for the follow. We can discuss my findings once I return. You'll not be rid of me so easily. Take Chronicles of a New Era quest series, Mists of the Realms, with the fresh-faced student of Valsain Access at the first quest. The difficult part in all this will be deciding how to best put these riches to use. Will you lend me your assistance in these deliberations? Anything to make up for the constructs we broke. Then think of your employment as a recompense. Serve me as guest advisors and I'll consider the broken contracts paid for in full. Missing and I are in this together. I'll follow his example. Meanwhile, elsewhere... Is it the spooky man we saw? is this? What's his face? The leader, the guy from Final Fantasy 1? I sense a breaching of a gate, but there was not... I sensed the breaching of a gate, but it was not instigated from this side. It was thrown open from the other. I too felt it. A rare occurrence, yes, but set of tiny portals beneath our notice. There are more pressing matters at hand. An opportunity is upon us, the coming of which we have awaited for nigh on 10,000 years. We dare not let it slip our grasp. We must not underestimate he who bested the cloud of darkness. Even restrained by a covenant, the cloud was no feasible whisper to be dispersed by some flesh and blood mortal. Also, I killed the embodiment of depression. Let him come, we will drown the world and watch this fleshling gasp for breath in his final moments. Your zeal is admirable, but forget not our cause. Think back on our struggles beneath the sunless sky and remember why we cede not our will to fight. It is time we set the war in motion and win redemption for our star. Oh, my Grand Company rank went up. Oh, Free Company rank. Okay, cool. Shall we begin? If we are to spend the treasure wisely, we must first determine which groups would benefit most from monetary assistance. Some of my citizens may find it intimidating to speak with the satrap directly, so I would ask that you act in my stead. Wouldn't they find it intimidating to speak with the hero of Eorzea? You're to visit Akiali and Yeldamal to speak with Matsiai and his people and listen to their grievances. Justinian, I bid you do the same on Palaka's stand. I'll be conducting my own inquiries at the Giant's Call grounds. Once you believe you've ascertained the needs of the populace, we can reconvene at Megaduda. Oh, I'm so glad to see you returned unharmed. You finished with the boat, then? Anything the village desperately needs? I suppose Khazal's loss hit us the hardest. I've been trying to find buyers for my fish, but although I sell a few here and there, it's so much more difficult than it was before. Everyone's still struggling to rebuild their lives. For now, we're just banding together as best we can. Greetings and welcome, traveler. If this is your first visit to Thavnir, then you must try my special Amara Lassi. It's refreshing zest, cannot be beat. What could such a wonder cost, you wonder? Normally I part with 3 bottles for a generous price of 19,800 gil, but for you I'm willing to sell it as low as even 10,000. You'd be practically stealing from me. I am not Estinian. Estinian, who is You're the one who is With that spear-touting fellow, well, you can hardly blame a man for trying. The world may no longer be on fire, but we are still sifting through the ashes, so to speak. Sisters, spare me. We might have that ugly as well have that ugly tower back for the scant few travelers we see these days. I myself barely have the coin to buy local at local prices, I tell you. If I didn't charge the odd adventurer a small fortune for afternoon tea, I'd be scavenging for scraps in the street. How fares the port? It's in shambles, isn't it? Trade routes are open once more now that the danger's passed, certainly, but no small number of merchants have had to sell their ships to make ends meet in the short term. And add to that the sailors we lost in the final days, and it's little wonder how the flow of exports is no more than a pitiful trickle. If Kalzal and his consortium were still with us, I'm sure he'd have found a way to turn our fortunes around. Now that the man who got things done, now that was a man who got things done, God's rest his soul. See, my stint on Vritra's back did not go unnoticed. I couldn't take 2 steps before another Hannish local was thanking me profusely for saving their home. My advisor's return. I've just made it back myself. Why do you retain this vessel now that your true form is known? You could have flown across the island in a fraction of the time. Be that as it may, the sight of a massive creature descending from the sky can be startling, to say the least, and there are a few places I can enter comfortably without the risk of flattening some cart or stall. Fair enough. As for my inquiries, the people of Palaka's stand were unanimous in their reply. They're surviving. Resources were stretched to the limit when refugees were pouring in, but they persevered with some assistance from Yeldamad. From what I understand, they've always been an independent community, hunters and foragers and the like, and I was assured the jungle provides for their needs for the most part. Palaka's stand has weathered disaster better than most, it seems. I myself heard good news and bad. The quarrymen were cautiously optimistic, having just sold a full wagon of giant skull to a foreign trader. But such visitors are few and far between. Compared to our best years, the weight of stone leaving Thavnir has been light indeed. Our nation is small and isolated, its prosperity dependent on a steady stream of exports. We must identify any obstacles to the flow of trade so we may begin working to remove them. What did you learn from Achiali and Yeldamad? Without a dedicated buyer, the average fisherman must struggle to offload his daily catch. Which is why I believe we should first address the lack of ships and storage. We should first address the lack of ships and shortage of able-bodied sailors to Yeldamad. I'm reminded of a child I spied as I make my way back to the palace. His father lost at sea when the beast sunk their vessel. So many variations of the same tragic tale repeated over and over. So many lives lost. Enough grief to drown in if we let ourselves be overcome, but we will not. I consider the perspectives you've brought me, and I will consider the perspectives you brought me and devise a plan to help my people confront this adversity. Come, I would like you to be in attendance when I announce the proposal to my assembled functionaries. Also, who's the new satrap? Or is there just no satrap now, and it's entirely the government running with the advisement of a dragon?
I thank you riches the Radiant Host have retrieved were hoarded in Eorzea name. A fortune I set aside for a future day of need.
Why did you spread the story of that then, though? Well, I guess.
And lo, that day hath come. May it aid our wounded city in reclaiming its vibrancy and vigor. In better times, I would leave such a task to our capable Ahawan. God's rest his soul. Finding myself bereft of his counsel in the here and now, I will assume the responsibilities of mine office directly. Firstly, the treasure shall be sold for more convenient currency. Thence, invested into the trading port of Yedlamad. Our
Yedlamad.
merchants must have their operations restored, their ships rebuilt. Commerce must flow.
Now that he says it, I realize I've been switching the place of the L and the D in the name.
None was spared
Yedlamad.
the tragedy of the final days. Of this, I am well aware. But an absence was created by the loss of Kalzal's consortium. And by filling it, we provide new means for our fishermen, our artisans, and others to bring their wares to distant markets.
And what of the children who were left without family to care for them?
That is a concern which weigheth heavily upon my mind. The simple gift of coin will soon be exhausted, leaving these young souls adrift on the fringes of our society. Nay, a proper solution is needed, one which doth guarantee their welfare for years to come. Thou hast surely seen how other nations rise to meet this challenge, adventurer. What dost thou deem the wisest course?
I feel like I'm not. I am not. I'm an expert at hitting things until they are dead. I am not an expert on political matters, so I'm just gonna say it takes a village to raise a kid.
Of course, we must all look out for one another. Let us put this idea into practice. A contract shall be written, requiring all who receive of Eorzea's treasure to commit a portion of their future earnings towards the running of an orphanage. Now, such an influential policy is deserving of a worthy name.
Something with Kalzal seems appropriate.
A fitting candidate. Kalzal should be remembered, not as the blasphemy which terrorized Thavne, but as a hard-working and generous man who brought much wealth to our shores. Do any among you object to this proposition. Many here lost loved ones to the beasts.
In that time of strife, any one of us could have broken. Any one of us may have been taken by despair. When I think of Kalzal, I feel no hatred. Only a stinging regret that we could not save him as well. Isn't that right, men?
This bodes well for that boy. Murad, was it? Perhaps he can cut ties with that shady peddler.
Then let it be done. Henceforth, this initiative shall be known as the Kalzal Foundation. Nabdeen, thou art to assemble a patrol and ensure that no child in this city liveth in squalor. Clerks, see to the management of our funds and make haste. Our citizens must not suffer a day more than is necessary.
Dragon and man, side by side in pursuit of a brighter morrow. Reminded of Ishgard.
Vritra's warming up to his role as Satrap. Clearly all these years behind the curtain were not spent napping. Thank you for putting forth Kalzal's name. Those whose lives he enriched will take comfort in seeing his legacy honored. You'll forgive me for not speaking sooner, but I bear a message for you from Archon Y'shtola. She asked that you meet her at the High Crucible at your earliest convenience. Understood. Thank you. Y'shtola must have finished her study of the Void Gate. Shall we hear what she has to say, then? I'll go with you. I thought the Satrap would be too busy setting up the Foundation. My clerks have been well-oiled cogs of this administration since before Ahiwan assumed office. They will understand what needs to be done. And I'm curious to learn what conclusions your Archon has reached considering the gate's unique construction. As you wish. Allow me to lead the way, Your Excellency. One who claims it's too late to save his sister, Vritra seems awfully interested in with whatever revelations Y'shtola might have to share. Shall we hear what your scholarly comrade has to say?
Right, here we all are.
You discovered something new.
I took a closer look at that device. I was able to determine how it keeps the Void Gate sealed, but not how it might instead be employed to expand the opening. For that, I would need to reference the technique developed by Vritra's alchemists, no records of which appear to have survived the intervening years.
We know this, so why have you sent for us? Have you learned aught of value or not?
Patience, good sir. One must introduce the subject before launching into specifics. From what we understand, travel between worlds is accomplished by passing through the nebulous rift which exists between them.
I like how they acknowledge it's nebulous. They really don't explain how it works that well.
Picture, if you will, the moment you were called to the first. You touched a focus of some kind to help the Exarch pinpoint your location. His summoning spell then channeled the energies of the Crystal Tower to begin your journey to his world. The magics tore a hole in the walls separating source and shard, and cast you into the intervening nothingness. In that place, the laws of nature hold no sway. Yet even through this realm of temporal and spatial instability, you were borne safely to your destination in the first. The feat that guided you across such an unimaginable distance, both physical and metaphorical, was nothing short of a miracle.
Then what of the many void scent found in the source? Who guides them here, and how?
An excellent question. Though there are several methods by which the Void's denizens might intrude upon our world, the rituals of summoning are the most typical. For example, let us consider the Gargoyle, a creature of middling power. To call upon such an entity, the prospective summoner must force open a void gate. The portal lasts but a moment and is relatively small, allowing only an imp or other lesser being to squeeze through with their physical body intact. Our more powerful gargoyle, however, is too large for that. Creating a gate big enough for him would require vast amounts of energy, far beyond the reserves of any one mortal practitioner. Instead, 'tis far more common to bring over only the entity's soul. We had a taste of that ourselves when a certain Exarch dragged us to the first. And just as our bodies remained in our world, the Void Sense physical form is left behind in the 13th. Once at its destination, the summoned soul is granted a temporary shell to inhabit. In the gargoyle's case, a stone effigy has proven a suitable vessel.
Wait. You said that Voidsent must be called here deliberately by someone in the source, reeled in like a fisherman with his catch.
Exactly. For a being to navigate the chaos of the rift, with or without form, there must needs be a guiding agent on the other side.
When the hordes poured forth from Alag's Great Gate, it was the technologists who drew them through. Though to my knowledge, planar fissures are in essence natural passages between our world and the void, which require no such guidance to traverse. Why is only the boundary between the source and the 13th so fragile? So much so that it often tears open of its own accord.
Because it was nearly rejoined.
I believe solving that mystery is key to understanding travel between the source and its reflections.
Though the first was also nearly rejoined. Just not.
And how do you intend to get your answers?
No. The danger is too great.
Perhaps. But what some call danger, others think of as adventure.
Yeah, but maybe like
But
the
you
entire
listen to my
population.
Never mind that the means to expand the gate has been lost to the ages.
I can go on an adventure.
Even could you force the portal wide enough, you would be greeted by an army of murderous horrors the very instant you step through.
The world shouldn't go on it. The world just finished an adventure. And I think the world is better off without adventures for now.
I assure you I was most attentive. And I agree that to go alone would be certain death. But if I were to bring along one who has already braved the 13th and humbled the cloud of darkness, well, I imagine my chances would be much improved.
Oh, I forgot I need to... So much for taking it easy.
Since when were you one for the quiet life? Once again, I put my life in your ever-reliable hands. That said, as much as I would like to march straight back to the Void Gate, there is the small matter of being unable to open it without the Satrap's personal authority.
As I've said before, I will grant you and yours any boon you choose to name, provided it does not endanger my people.
You have my word that we will take every precaution. Not a single Voidsent will be allowed to threaten Radzat-Han, assuming we manage to expand the portal in the first place.
You have a plan.
Actually, I had hoped you might help us with that. I presume the alchemists you retained supplied you with some explanation of their methodology.
That they did. House Daimir was overseeing the project.
Daimir. Ah, yes. The family associated with the great work.
I did not fully comprehend the theory, but their research began with a Voidsent which had slipped through the fissure. After a thorough examination, they created an arcane simulacrum possessed of similar qualities. A man-made Voidsent, if you will. It was apparently indispensable in their efforts to enlarge the gate.
A man-made Voidsent?
Yes. Being great admirers of the Archons, House Daemir submitted detailed notes to Charlene's official committee. They expected praise and accolades for their simulacrum, and were thus devastated to be informed that their work had been classified as prohibited material.
If that's true, then those notes might still be stored in a forbidden archive somewhere. Not Google, of course, since that library had yet to be built. Which leaves us with...
with Graha's favorite place to sneak around.
Indeed. Numenon's restricted stacks may very well hold a copy. In which case, I say we head directly to Charleon.
Unless you anticipate needing help to reach the high shelves, I see myself being of little use. Go on ahead.
You need
Still
help to reach the
find
high
Morale and
shelves.
Tell him about the Kalzal Foundation.
They're too tall! The shelves are too tall!
Let us be on our way as well.
They are resolved to venture into the void. Do I sit idly by?
We must enter Numenon's restricted archives with a minimum amount of fuss, and we must secure permission of the Forum. First, however, we shall need to enlist the cooperation of a member to broach the matter on our behalf. Who do you think might be inclined to assist us? No one springs to mind? What if... Yeah, I was going to say Skulark Montechain. He did come to Graha's defense during the inquiry, after all. Let's head to Phenomenon and see if he's willing to help us once more. Other talking points around here. There's one right at the entrance. Can I use the Ethernet while Y'shtol is following me? I think I can. Yeah. I practiced the Master Matoya at the age of 7 and labored under her tutelage for a full decade. I never had a chance to attend the studium. Neither did Thancred, as I recall. Soon after Master Louisoix took him off the streets, he was put in the care of another Archon. His is a rigorous and practical education in the arts of espionage and survival. I sometimes wonder what my life might have been like if I had pursued studies here instead. Should I wonder as well? Oh, never mind me. It's just an idle thought. Hang on. Tea at the last stand? After a long day of lectures? It does sound lovely. Afternoons with friends, fed sipping tea and debating theories. Wouldn't give up my time with Master Matoya for the world. The dank cave I studied in was far from the bright, airy halls of academia as one could get, but it was a wondrous, magical childhood nonetheless. Hi, Vana. Visitors! Quite esteemed ones at that. What may I do for you? Pray forgive the intrusion, Scholark, but we were hoping you might help us secure permission to enter Numenon's restricted archives. Oh ho, no furtive forays into the stacks this time, eh? I applaud this newfound sense of propriety, yet in all this wide world of comparative serenity, what so compels you to disturb the vault of forbidden wisdom? Fascinating. I had no idea such a technique existed. I would have been surprised if you had. If my assumption is correct, the research left by House Damir has lain dormant in Charlene's archives for many centuries. And if you unearth this research, what then? Surely you don't intend to cross over into the void. That is in fact precisely what we intend. To what end, pray tell? To develop a method of traversing the rift, for one, that I might keep my word to a distant friend. Sentiment aside, I have journeyed to the end of existence, and I have heard, felt, and thought endlessly about the truth of our world and the echo of its future, and I want to understand everything, to unravel it all down to its very last secret. What scholar of worthy name wouldn't force open a void gate or two if a grand revelation was promised the promised reward? Marvelous. An audacious proposal worthy of Master Matoya herself. And after hearing the whys and wherefores, I for one do not believe you would use the knowledge for ill. I see no reason to present your request to the not to present your request to the forum's consideration. Although your petition would be better received if you also had the support of another well-placed acquaintance. Master Foshino, of course. He can hardly ignore earnest requests from his dear children's most treasured comrades. I was hesitant to approach him directly, but there is no denying that having Master Foshino on our side would tip the balance in our favor. Very well, we will pay a visit to the Levier estate and plead our case. One last thing before you go. I would consider it a personal favor if you might share with me your discoveries you make in the void. My appetite for knowledge is every bit as insatiable as yours, I'd wager, so if you can see your way into indulging an old man's curiosity? Of course, Scholark, we would be sure to pass on any revelations. Are there any more talking points around the town now? No, none that I can see. Also, this is not the way out of here. Ah, Master missingnovice.bsky.social, how may I be of service? I'm coming to speak with Master Foshino. Is he home by any chance? Yes, the Master is in residence. I shall inform him that he has guests. Well, Emelians would invite you inside for tea, but I assume this is not a social visit. You have some matter of import to discuss? Then pray proceed. You have my full attention. I suppose I should praise you for following the proper protocols this time around. Scholar Montaigne expressed very much the same sentiment. I assure you, we'll not attempt to circumvent the forum's authority again, unless it's absolutely necessary, of course. Of course. You do understand that restricted archives are restricted for good reason, yes? If no pressing need exists, then why risk the consequences of employing this forbidden knowledge? for a brother who misses his sister. She was a guardian. She was his guardian and a friend, a selfless hero who crossed the rift between worlds to save her homeland from horror and suffering. But the brother has given up the thoughts of reunion. He spends his efforts elsewhere, watching over a people yet healing from the flames of the final days, loyal to his duty while betraying the longing in his heart. It is no vital mission, perhaps, reuniting these siblings, but it feels a worthy cause to pursue all the same. As one who feared losing his own loved ones and spent years in research to prevent it, surely you appreciate how painful such separation may be. Reflections are still very much a mystery to us. Offering to share your experience in the first should constitute a fair exchange for our cooperation. Do not celebrate just yet. The forum must be convinced. I'll add your request to the list on today's deliberations and deliver the decision to the Baldessian Annex. So, what did the forum decide? To put it bluntly, Master Matoya has burned some bridges here in Charlie and insulted the earth for good measure. When it became clear that her student was the petitioner in the question, well, no few members voiced their discontent. The Chamber was reminded, in no uncertain terms I might add, of the incredible debt we owe to you and your companions. That served to silence the grumbles and stiffen a few spines, and it was agreed that allowing you entry to the archives was the least we could do in return. That is wonderful news. Thank you both for speaking on our behalf. Yes, well, as I'm sure you're aware, this permission was not extended lightly. Forbidden knowledge is to be treated with the utmost caution, and there will be repercussions if it is not. I wish you well in your endeavor and bid you good day. Ever the same, that one. Uncompromising? Aye, but that very stoicism is exactly what Charlene needed to guide it through not one, but two exoduses. If I were but 5 years younger, I'd cast aside my lectern and join you on your adventures in a heartbeat. That went rather well, I think. As a child, I dreamed up any number of schemes for getting my hands on those forbidden tomes, and now I can simply walk through the door. Our focus will be on finding House Damer's research notes, of course, but the thought of so much knowledge at my disposal has me feeling a little giddy. You'll be heading directly to the archives from here, I presume? You presume correctly. Then you'll want to speak with the index page when you arrive. It's been instructed to grant you access to the restricted section. Excellent. Once again, we thank you for all your help. It was my pleasure, believe me. May you find the knowledge you seek. Shall we? Pudding way! I guess my pudding wasn't needed to stop the final days after all, but I persevere. Once people taste it, they'll be even happier than they were before the apocalypse started. I just know it. Your soul of forbidden is my favorite flavor of knowledge rule, yes. think the set of instructions I laughingly imagined may actually exist, but yalms away from where you found me napping. If I had known Alzadal III's exploits sooner, I could have have saved myself days of research. Even a children's book might have pointed me in the right direction. To achieve the impossible, one must needs be flexible of mind and look beyond conventional wisdom, a lesson I had already learned, but clearly not taken to heart. Archon, your stolen guest identified. Do you wish to proceed into the restricted archives? Follow me if you would, watch your step, and please note that the use of naked flames is discouraged. This music. I'd think we'd be going into a new dungeon. Oh, it's the Grand Google theme!
If House Damir's notes are to be found anywhere, it will be here. Let us begin.
I love the Google Library. Like, it's one of my favorite dungeons. Today, in a world not my own, I met the most beautiful void-born creature. She was so unlike her ravenous brethren, eyes blazing not with hunger, but trembling like a candle's flame, threatening to flicker out at any moment. I wonder if she is even a proper word. Such distinctions seem inconsequential, insignificant even. All that matters is the love I feel for this exquisite, transcendent being. Though you are tempted to read more, this does not seem to be the volume you're seeking. In the year 1564 of the 6th Astral Era, the Amalja summoned Ifrit, their patron god. Accounts describe this being as a gigantic lizard-like being with a potent command of fire-respected magics. If we consider the primal summoning is in fact an act fueled by faith and prayer, it is unsurprising, if not expected, that the resulting deiform entity should manifest the appearance and powers with which it is attributed by its worshippers. What then might emerge from the ether should one who believes himself in almighty omniscience attempt the same ritual? Would the scholar himself grace us with his presence? Some other embodiment of divine sagacity? Could this man-made god truly be all-knowing? And if it were, whence would such knowledge arise? I myself have many questions concerning the nature of the ancient world. With no spell to transport me back to the days of old, could I instead summon a being possessed of encyclopedic wisdom of every age? Yet with no true means to verify its pronouncements, how could one be certain they were true? So many books I've yet to read. Yes, we're here for one specific volume. You needn't remind me. Oh, there. Just summon Alexander, easy. Yeah. The following pages detail an advanced method for manipulating the rift-spanning apertures as devised by Nuashan, the 9th Patriarch of House Daimir. We present the research notes of the faculty of Charlene's Studium as both a token of our friendship and as an expression of our boundless admiration. Is this music used anywhere else? Because it's a jam. Have something you'd like to show me, do you? My apologies, I flipped open but a single book and was completely absorbed by the contents. Well done. I think you may have found our prize.
Yes, the ether signature is unmistakable. I've felt the traces of House Damia's resonance many times at the Great Work. Time to see what all the fuss was about. Among the ranks of the Void Sent, there exist entities with the power to call forth their brethren from beyond. The species known as Atomos, however, is uniquely prodigious in this regard. From its distended maw, it can expel an endless procession of void-born creatures, a talent which sorely tested the Radiant Host in its battles against these abominations. Surmising that the entity itself was acting as a void gate, we endeavored to capture a small specimen and subsequently examine its physiological structure. Our findings reveal that the Atomos had absorbed a planar fissure into its own flesh, which it could expand at will into a functioning gate. Upon further analysis, we identified an ethereal wave pattern emitted during this process. A pattern we were able to emulate by passing crystal-stored ether through a specially designed prism.
To be fair, the softcore porn was a guy lusting after a void scent. So, I guess if that was a purely fictional account, yeah, a little extreme. But if it was actually a dude who was interested in summoning a devil so he could bone it, I understand why it's forbidden knowledge, especially since that's exactly how Hawk Manor happened.
We proceeded to embed said prism into an arcane simulacrum, thus completing what we have dubbed our artificial Atomos. How could I have been so blind to the possibilities? This species, not to mention its ability to summon void scent, has been discussed among academics for years now. Just before the advent of the 7th Umbral Calamity, we received reports of Atomos sightings from every corner of Eorzea. Surely you've at least heard the tales. And still, House Damia went and built a mock Atomos of their very own. I'm not surprised the Archons consigned their work to a restricted archive. It was no easy task, but at last we've unearthed the volume we've been searching for. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tempted to stay longer. See what other forbidden titles might be lurking on these shelves? Ah, but that would be abusing the very special privilege we've been granted now, wouldn't it? Better not.
Congratulations on locating the object of your search. Please move along. As much as I would love to start crafting the Atomos, I'm afraid this is far outside my field of expertise. Fortunately, we know a Hannish alchemist who would be delighted to involve herself in our House Daimir project. Our business here is concluded for the moment. Please pass on our regards to the forum. Your message will be conveyed. Should you wish to indulge more forbidden literature, I will be here. Patron mode disabled, security mode engaged. If anyone can help us, Nidhana can. I say we return to Thavnir and look for her at the Great Work. Oh, also, before I forget. Oh, I can't use my glamour dresser stuff. I should have gone back to Charlian. Much better. And then I head back to the Great Work. All these sallow, sleep-deprived faces, but their eyes still burn with a fiery zeal. Some things never change. Yashola tells me you're pursuing a most fascinating study and that you want me to be a part of it. I have no doubt you'll be interested. This research log should speak for itself. Will it now? By the sisters, this is the mark of House Daimir. I never even knew such a work existed. Few should. It was sequestered in Numenon's restricted archives, after all. It was, but that means every word with it is forbidden knowledge. A forbidden tome filled with forbidden research. You put it right into my unsuspecting hand? I can hardly wait to read it. To think House Daimir were developing such marvelous techniques so long ago. How many innovations have been lost over the centuries, I wonder? Now that you've glanced over the notes, what say you to helping us build a new mock Adamas? I say yes! 1,000 times yes! Work on a Daimir project that had even the redoubtable scholars of Charlian trembling in their sandals? No alchemist of the Great Work could resist. You are a woman after my own heart. I suppose I should ask, what do you mean to do with this big-mouthed simulacrum once we build it? There's a secret void gate, and it's sealed in the ruins at the bottom of the bounty. Today is a day of revelations indeed. If the purpose of our man-made Adamas is to expand this hidden portal, then I will need to see it for myself, I think. Manipulating rift-spanning apertures is not the sort of thing you want to attempt without first taking into account every single factor. By all means, accompany us to the vault. I plan to lead us back there shortly, once we've finished gathering the components I require. I love Nidhana's boundless enthusiasm for creating abominations against nature. Yes. Charlian's markets provided the raw aquamarine and pure water crystals. But I might need help obtaining a small quantity of astrally infused water. For such liquid, you need go no further than the font of Maya. The ascetics of old once favored the place for its meditations, and the water which pools there now is known to enliven the flow of ether. That sounds perfect. If you'd be so kind as to fill the flask at the pool, I will petition Vritra to join us. The idea I have in mind won't amount to much without his authority to command the Void Gate. Shall we be about it then? We'll be back here anon. Also, when Y'shtola said a brother wanting to reunite with his sister, is she referring to Runar as the brother and her as the sister? Because I always thought that they were in love. He gave her a flower. Vritra and his sister. Oh, duh. How did I? Okay, yeah. That makes a lot more sense. You know, that big major plot point they went over, like, not even 30 minutes ago? The whole reason the gate exists in the first place? That whole thing? You're still trolling all the way first. So Runar, he's like a brother to her. Oh, he's sad. Do you have that flask for me? This should suffice, thank you. The boy Murad was glad to hear the news of this foundation. It means a new life for him and his sister. Forgot to mention, the Font of Maya attracts aggressive wildlife, and you should watch out for them when you go there next time. My apologies. Arcania Stoller requested that I join you, but of her plans, she offered scant detail. Look who I came across. The Scythians seemed in need of a diversion, and we, in turn, may have need of his lands. Right then, now that our little party is assembled, let's make our way to the ruins. We will have need of Matsu's boat again? Not this time. Once Y'shtola informed me of our destination, I arranged for a vessel to be made ready at Ikyali. Your Excellency is ever the gracious host. Shall we? You need not keep your weapons close at hand. The Guardians will not attack if I'm present, so I pray that you leave them be. Onto the boat, if you please. We can chat on our way there. It is not likely needed with Vritra along, but I held the map against the chance we might return to the ruins. And all this time, I thought tales of Alzadal's horde were no more than drunken sailors' fancies. The ship is yours to command. Our thanks. We set sail at once. Oh, this is so exciting. Alzadal's legacy, to see the truth of a legend with mine own eyes. All aboard for the treasure vault. You laid waste to them ere I could utter a single word. Poor Vritra, you really should have spoken with the Scythian before we left. I shudder to think what would cost them in terms of construct materials. I thought we cleared this place of constructs last time we came through. 'Twould seem a few stragglers remain. Oh no.
The ruins alone were impressive enough, but I never dreamed such a treasure lay hidden in the depths of the bounty. It may have been helpful to know this device existed, Your Excellency.
My apologies. The gate was a secret I shared with none but my closest advisors. I feared for what might happen should those with ill intentions learn of its existence.
What is it you're doing now?
There's something I wish to verify. The NOAA reports claim that a short stint into the void carries little risk of etheric imbalance. Should one suffer an injury, however, or if one's expedition drags on longer than intended, that risk becomes significantly greater. Gra has theorized that a warding scale would confer protection from the void's corrupting influence. But I would prefer to test that hypothesis before we set foot in the 13th ourselves.
So, this is an experiment of sorts.
Yes, an experiment. Tell me, how would you go about testing the efficacy of the warding scale?
Well, there's like a talking pot. Maybe send a familiar?
Very good. I see you've been paying attention. As Vritra sent his simulacrum, so too shall we rely on a familiar to bear the brunt of any unpleasant consequences.
Better not be Angelo.
Now, a lowly imp can navigate a fissure, no matter how narrow. Which means an arcane entity of similar stature should be able to manage the same.
You better not be making a porksy that our guinea pig
I
here.
hadn't wanted it to come to this, but no other familiars will do, I'm afraid.
Stola.
I mislike the sound of that. What manner of fiend does she mean to summon?
From ocean rise and cloudbank form, from mountain spring and rainfall storm, from river flow and life be born.
Magical girl sequence.
Water, water, froth and foam!
Oh god. Magical girl Yastola.
Ready your arms. I fear she's been possessed.
Oh, come now. That was adorable.
Though not my first choice. These familiars I conceived of as a child have the best chance of fitting through the gate. I only wish my younger self had considered a more dignified ending to the creation ritual. In any case, these two should serve us well. This one will bear a warding scale. And when they return from the 13th, we can observe how the talisman, or absence thereof, has affected the progress of the Void's corruption. If I could impose upon you to open the gate, Your Excellency?
Ah, yes, of course.
We should also be wary of void scent slipping through while we conduct our experiment. Estinian, you are to keep Nadana safe from harm.
As you say.
You had best be on your guard as well.
Froth and foam.
Oh, are you volunteering to join the Nixies? I could shrink you down, you know. Let us begin, shall we? Nixies, into the void.
Sister, save me. I will never see your soul the same way again. Froth and foam indeed. I struggle to picture your soul as a little girl. Easier to believe she sprang fully formed from one of Master Matoya's cauldrons. We need to wait for a time to ensure any meaningful result. Be patient and keep watch for any intruders. Every time I come down here, it reminds me of the dark portal above the Crystal Tower and of the final lash of Ajdaya's tail as she plunged into the void.
I think we've waited long enough. Nixies, return to my side.
Oh.
Thank you, little one. You did well.
Oh, the poor thing. Its essence has been irrevocably warped.
We're out of time. I must reseal the void gate.
They're coming through!
In the name of Alzadal III, I bar this door unto the void.
Well, that was a sharp lesson in the dangers of void gates.
what of our experiment? I'd say the results speak for themselves.
The unprotected Nixie has suffered extensive etheric corruption. As Nidana observed, it's well on its way to becoming a void scent. The one merged with the talisman, however, appears unaffected. I sense no changes to its equilibrium. Rest now, little ones.
Graha's theory was correct, then.
So it would seem. But while our second familiar was untouched by void energies, the talisman itself shows signs of degradation. It was, of course, originally designed to shield the soul from primal tempering. It stands to reason that etheric corruption of a different sort would affect it differently. We may need to modify the warding scale's design to account for the 13th's uniquely unstable ether.
You've said much of the Void's instability, but my imagination fails me. What manner of place is this broken world?
Ah, my apologies. I forget that not all of us spend our days sequestered in dusty archives. The 13th is a reflection of the source that was drowned in a flood of darkness. In Emmett Selk's own words, this tragedy was a result of the Ascians' attempts to force a rejoining. They erred in their haste, and made of that world a useless void. You remember Una Kalhai, the unusual child we met during our troubles with the Warring Triad?
Yes, I did in fact do
He
those.
explained the fate of the 13th thus. The champions of that ill-fated world used the stone known as Eorzea to contain the power of primals. But those self-same heroes were gradually corrupted by the Eorzea's bleeding energies, transforming into fiends with an endless hunger for ether. By the time anyone thought to oppose them, Light's strength had grown too feeble, and the balance of the 13th tipped into eternal darkness. And what of your own experience? Will you tell us of what you observed during Noah's expedition? I can picture it now. The sunless, Stygian expanse, infested with legions of ether-starved monstrosities. A void in every sense of the word.
What you have described in such lurid detail is exactly why I hesitate to encourage you.
Worry not, great Vritra. Our journey into the 13th is but the first leg of a longer voyage. A voyage that shall lead us to other reflections, to new mysteries and discoveries. And I mean to be there every step of the way. But first I must focus on refining the warding talisman.
Then I can begin work on constructing an artificial Atomos. Or I could, if I had the relevant manuals to hand. Might I be so bold as to request access to the Satrap's family archives? Your Excellency?
Oh, yes. That can be arranged. I will speak to my officials upon our return.
We will see you back in the city then.
Seeing the Void's terrors firsthand was an experience, but I doubt fear of such creatures is at the root of Vritra's hesitation. Once Sinhana succeeded in replicating the Mach Atomos, this door into the 13th will be ours to open. Will you be crossing the threshold alongside us? I realize this is more my endeavor than yours. To be honest, I have no interest in visiting the Void myself. Might we discuss this later? There's something I must do first. Why does everyone insist on being so secretive? I at least had a good reason for not wanting to explain my Nixie ritual. Shall we proceed to our other preparations then? As we saw with the warding scale can be effective in protecting the bearer from other sources of etheric corruption. Nevertheless, the talisman's durability will need to be improved if we are to withstand the Void's influence for a prolonged period of time. And I think that it's a problem we can address without involving the brilliant but busy alchemist who created it. Who do we know who excels at this kind of structural augmentation? Garland Ironworks. An excellent suggestion. As I recall, Sid himself is no stranger to the Void and its volatile energies. With this experience at the helm, I have every confidence that the Ironworks can strengthen the warding scale. Let us visit the operation in Ralger's Reach and commission their best and brightest. Ooh, we're here already. Okay, cool. I gotta go. It is work time. So let's toss things over somewhere. Let me actually just do categories. 14. Let's see, is there anybody... nope. I'm just like skimming through the 14 category for somebody. There's so many people. I should also just be looking at where they are. I mean, granted, I'm at the point where it's probably me who is ahead. Oh, nope, that's French. Nope, that's new alliance raids. I have not done those yet. Dang. There's so many people. Nope, and that person is in fact doing, I think, further ahead. Okay, I'm just gonna go. There's many people I could pass things on to, but I don't trust any of them to be not ahead of where I am or at the moment. Oh wait, let's first do Shadowbringers. Let's do this. We'll go raid Roy Reaper. If you're on YouTube, twitch.tv/Roy_Reaper. Thank you for hanging out with me. I may or may not be live Sunday. Tomorrow I have a wedding to go to, but we'll see.